Get ready for change to elevate your future, your thinking, your life. One relationship, one thought, one decision. You're closer than you think you are. Make a decision and decide. Prepare to be inspired. Wow. I'm excited to be here today. I've got somebody in the green room right now that you are going to love. I've been following this guy. I got a little bit of a man crush on him. Don't tell him, but I really love this dude. Jimmy Burgess is your most recognized name through Inman, but he is a best-selling author. He is just a great human being, and I'm excited to have him. Let's get him in here and say hello. Jimmy.
Randy, how are you, my friend? I'm excited to be here with you.
If I was any better, I'd be twins, Jimmy.
Well, I love it. We're going to have some fun here.
Absolutely, man. I really appreciate you coming out and joining us on the podcast, Like a Boss. It's a podcast for entrepreneurs, and you were at the top of the food chain for that. Let me read your bio a little bit, and then I'm going to ask you to even brag on yourself a little bit, maybe. But Jimmy Burgess, best-selling author to Inman. You see his articles in there a lot. Book, What Just Happened. I love the title, by the way. CEO of Berkshire Hathaway Beach Properties, Florida. He's in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. Chief Growth Officer. Swan Pool rated just came out top 200 most influential people. I think this is the second time for you. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
That's such a big deal making that list. And just an all around good guy. I really had a great conversation with Jimmy, and he was gracious enough to take his busy schedule and allow us to get a little glimpse into his brain and his style. And we're going to talk about all things today. We're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about what agents need to do in this market. We're going to crystal ball it a little bit of what's going on in this crazy world. And I'm excited to get going with that. So Jimmy, welcome to the podcast, number one.
Well, thank you, Randy. I'm excited. We're going to give some folks, hopefully, a little inspiration and some practical things they can do to help their business today.
Amen. That's what it's all about. Let's jump right in. How many articles have you done on Inman? Do you have any idea now?
Well, I don't know exactly, but I've been doing a weekly article for the last almost 4 years, 3-4 years. So that's going to be a couple hundred articles there. Randy, really what started with that a lot of it is that maybe I grew up with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder as far as, grew up in a little small town, literally 30 miles from where I am, 30 miles from the dirt road that I grew up on. And, as I continued to progress in my career, I felt like, I felt like I could tell a story, but I wasn't a good writer. It was always easier for me just to turn a video camera on and just talk than it was to write. And so it was something I knew that if I was going to be the best communicator and I was going to do everything I was supposed to do and I was built to do, I was going to have to learn how to do that better. So I started writing these really with an understanding that, okay, so look, this is exactly the way I think of it. I don't know that I've ever shared this with anybody, but the way that I think about it is okay, if I'm going to write, and I'll take a couple weeks off during the year, but if I'm going to write 50 articles a week, for the year, and they're going to be roughly, because some are shorter, some are longer, about 1,500 words. That means I'm going to write 75,000 words per year that will be published. And that's just there. Obviously, there's some other things I do. Well, now here I am, 4 years into this. So I'm over 300,000 words that I've written that's been published. And what it does is a couple things. It's the great test. I mean, I think if there's agents or entrepreneurs out there and you're wondering, what do I do to add the most value to my client base, which for me, as CEO for our company and attracting agents is what is it that helps agents grow their business and they respond to the best? Gosh, I mean, you got Inman with the largest, real estate news website out there. So consequently, when I run and I do these articles, I can see the engagement and it helps me prepare better to be able to serve the agents that I've been entrusted to serve at a higher level. So it's been kind of one of those where, it's just like anything else. The more reps you do, probably the better you get. I mean, you don't get worse, that's for sure. And so this has been a great journey to kind of just really try to hone in on that skill a little bit. It's crazy. Randy, you mentioned this. I had this little small town that I grew up in. There's a little library there. And when I had published my book back in like 2011 or 12, and you got to understand when I published that book, I had not done any of this. I just was writing from the heart after going through it. everything. And I was doing this little book signing at the local library, and I had this English teacher when I was in 11th grade. And there's every so often there's some of those teachers that probably shouldn't be teaching. They're just there for the paycheck, and they really will tear you down. Well, I look, and I've got this line of friends of mine, coming in to get a book from me. And that 11th grade English teacher walks in the library. She's not there for the book signing. She just happened to walk into the library that day. And she walks by, and she looks and sees me and takes this double take and looks over at me. And she said, "You wrote a book?" And I said, "Well, yes, ma'am." And she said, "Last person I ever thought would have done that," and walked off. And I was like,
"No,
that's why I'm going to start getting better at writing, because I'm literally going to kind of do some things that people didn't expect from me." So
I promise my English teacher would say that about me if I make the book club and we run into each other. Maybe even the principal.
Well,
I love your style, and your writings are, for me, it's so educationally simple to follow, right? That's what I love about it. There's a lot of coaches. Coaches have got somewhat popularized in the last few years, right? And I've been coaching for 10 years now, full time. Tom Ferry for 4 years, loved it. Keller Williams, I've been through the coaching envelopes, and I think that there's a lot of coaches out there now, right? And I'm not knocking them down. I think it's amazing they follow that journey. But you've got health coaches, you got mind coaches, you got weight coaches, you got coaches, you got coaches to coaches. And so for me, it's become a bit of a crowded space for somebody like an agent to look at, like, what is really going to impact my business, right? And when I look at your articles, they're like, you've got the top 10 things to do about this, the top 3 things about this. And you've been really on top of the AI thing, which I want to definitely get to. I think that's really an important topic, the future topic. I think all things are going to be revolving around that in the real estate space. Mm-hmm. So, what lights you up? Like, what are you passionate about on a daily basis?
Man, Randy, I think the thing is that, first off, after now 30 years in this business, well over half my life, that I have, there's no way I can give back to this real estate business the way that is given to me, my family, and just giving me an opportunity to become who I'm supposed to be, serve at the level I'm supposed to serve at. So for me, what really lights me up right now is the ability to give back. And man, I know, like you, I sold for 25 years, before I started doing this. And so consequently, through those, $500 million worth of sales volume, I learned, what worked and what didn't work. And the biggest thing and the biggest thing that fires me up when I wake up in the morning is I get to go give agents what I wish somebody would have given me. And so consequently, literally, I say it all the time. I got the best job in the world, my mentor, Gino before, I told him one day, I said, "Hey man, don't hold this against me, but I'd probably do this if you didn't pay me." Now I like to pay. I'm not gonna turn it away. I'd love some more, but right. I literally love what I'm doing. And I think when you love what you're doing and you're truly passionate about helping other people, you can't fake that. People know you either are for people and you're excited to help other people, become who they're supposed to be, or you aren't. And, and listen, I can tell you, it's not like it was that way all my life. I always wanted to serve, but I think as I've matured in the businesses and I've had people do it for me, the way that I was brought up is the best way to honor someone that gave you something is to give that then back to some other people. And so that's what I'm trying to do is to make sure that I get the opportunity to do that. And that's what really gets me fired up.
Dude, I love that. And on the back of my card, for a decade, it said, "Help enough people get what they want, and you'll get all you want."
It's the greatest quote of all time.
It is the greatest quote of all time.
Yeah, there's no doubt, because it's almost truthful.
It is. And I put it on the back of my business card because I wanted my clients and the other people that I was doing business with knowing that that's my battle cry. Yeah. And I think I had to evolve into that. You mentioned, you don't know when it happened and stuff, but evolution, I think, happens as either when we mature in our age or in our business or whatever that may be. For me, it's become a bigger why. And all of a sudden that why is bigger than I could possibly, think about what the future can hold with that. And now it's kind of a legacy play, right?
That's all legacy.
It was all about me early in my business. Let me be truthful, right? 20 years ago, it was all freaking Randy Bird. It was ego. And a lot of bad business decisions were based on that ego when I was younger, because I was thinking all about winning and I'm very competitive, but I was misguided in what winning looked like to me. Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we joked a little bit about it in the beginning. I'm half hood, half holy. That'll be the name of my book in the future. I had my shirt on as we got on,
I
and
know. I love it.
you were
I
like, "I
love
love that shirt." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't think you saw me on camera prior to me putting my jacket on." But
it.
and I think for me, Jimmy, the coaching component, the piece of being an author, a contributor, a coach, is serving at the absolute highest level.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this too, Randy. I think when you find the right coach, you're going to find somebody that is not just going to be able to teach you that, but it's somebody who you want to be, like. You know what I mean? Who has the energy you're looking for, who has the optimism you're looking for, who's done what you want to do. That's what I've always said is I don't coach on a lot of psychology stuff. It's because I would be teaching from a place of theory, not necessarily from experience. But if you want to know how to get more listings, that's what I did for 25 years. You know what I mean? If you want to understand AI right now, man, I don't know of anybody that's out there studying it any more than I am. I'm just trying to be a student of it.
Yeah.
And then almost being a DJ that's bringing these best ideas that I gather and just giving those back out to people and seeing how they're able to help them in their real estate business. So, I think coaching is a calling. You know what I mean? I think we're all called to coach. Now, there were phases in my life where my job was to coach my family. There were phases where I was to coach my clients. There are phases now where it's to coach and to inspire agents. Whatever it is, I think we're all are. It's not a matter of if, it's just who is the audience that you're supposed to be inspiring and coaching at the season you are in life, in reality.
I love that. I never thought of it that way. When I thought of coach, even just a few years ago, when I say I'm a coach, they think I'm a basketball coach, football coach, but it's all related in what we're doing. But it's a passion. And I think there's too many people that have a passion and a fire in their belly to do it that don't do it out of fear or rejection. We live in a social media world now that it's, what other people think of us is way too valuable to our minds. And it shouldn't be that way. So let's jump in tactical. Let's talk some tactical stuff. Listings.
Absolutely.
Like, how would agents listening to this? Majority of our followers are agents, entrepreneurs. I coach, broker owners, contractors. I coach anybody that's an entrepreneur spirit. But to our real estate community, what are ways to get listings in this market? You've had some amazing articles and on point. Give us some highlights of what that could be value-wise.
I'll tell you what, let me give you one strategy right now, and then I want to give you one way to absolutely close every listing you're getting using AI at the end of this, okay? First strategy is, this is something that I did originally in my business before I transitioned into the leadership role. Is what I did is I called it the Video Unsolicited CMA. And I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Randy, but basically what I did is that instead of doing a CMA and mailing it out, I began to record my screen. And I would just literally, they'd be like, you could do it Zoom party of one with you down in the corner with your screen where they could see it. Or I did it, but I personally did it with BombBomb. And I would just record my screen. I would start with coming in and I wanted to just give people value. I didn't ask them if they wanted to list their house. And I decided the last 3 months that I was in sales, I didn't know it was going to be my last 3 months, to be honest. But that quarter, I said, hey, listen, every single day, I'm going to do at least one video CMA unsolicited that they didn't ask for it. I'm just going to give value. And just like we were talking about, when I gave value into the marketplace, it always comes back. And so what I did is I just recorded my screen. I'd start the video and I had basically 3 tabs up. The first tab I'd have up is Google Earth. I would have their address typed in. And when I would press record and it would start the countdown 3, 2, 1, I would press enter. And all of a sudden when the camera came on, it was coming from outer space down on top of their house. Now, I'll just tell you, we had 90% open rate with these emails. And because, listen, I'm going to just tell you something. If somebody sent me that because it was embedded in there and I saw something coming from outer space onto the top, I'm clicking that video.
And going to your house.
Every single time. And so literally we would just come in there and all I did was I would say, hey, listen, it's been a little while since I gave you an updated idea of where your value is. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm going to go through and share my screen. And I'm going to give you the ability to kind of see a range of where your value is now. And then I always said this, if you are ever curious of where your value is or was in January of 2024, all you got to do is come back into your email. And as you'll notice, I had the subject line. It had your address, 123 Main Street, valuation update. So if you come back into your email a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, you're just curious about where your value is, and you type in your address or you type in valuation updates, you'll be able to see this. Now, then I just went in. I had the other tab was the MLS. This was pretty basic. I just would pull up the MLS. And let me just say this. We've been doing this all over the country, and we're seeing huge results in every single market with this. And then what I said is I said, now here is I'm just going to pull up this next tab. These are the houses that have sold like yours in the last 3 months. And here's a couple of houses that are similar to yours that are currently for sale. And I just go through them. I say, hey, here, this is this one. So I'm basically just sharing my screen and showing them how I'm coming up with the valuation. Now, what I tell them at this point too is to say, hey, listen, I've obviously, when we were originally doing this, it was when it was during the pandemic. But now it's like, hey, listen, with as busy as life has been over the last few years, I haven't been inside your home. But I wanted to give you a range of value because you may have had a little deferred maintenance, or maybe you've had some improvements that I'm not aware of. So I'm going to give you a range of value here. But just so you know, if you're curious about what it'd sell for, it took me 5 minutes to walk through your house. I can tell you exactly what it'll sell for. And then I just keep moving on. I don't ever ask them. And I go through those comparables. I give them that information. And then the last thing I had was an estimated seller net sheet. Now, this was just simply literally just a Word document. Had the estimate of their sales price, the typical closing costs. And I say, hey, listen, this is just an estimate. Obviously, it doesn't have prorations. It doesn't have any mortgages you have. But if I was you, I'd want to at least kind of have a rough idea of what I'd be looking at netting out when I sold this place. And then at the end, I would say, hey, listen, I hope this has been of value to you. And if you ever are curious about what your value was in January of 2024, feel free to come back into your email and search for your address or valuation update, and this will pop right up.
That's so good.
That was it. Now, listen, Randy, what I did with this is I made that list of 100 people that were past clients and mentioned they might want to sell, people that were in my farm area. And I basically put the low-hanging fruit up top, and I did one a day, 72 of those in that fourth quarter because it didn't work every day. I ended up listing $11 million directly from this one strategy. Now, here's the kicker on this deal. Not only was it that I list the $11 million, I shifted out in the first quarter of that next year out of sales and into the leadership position. So basically, all of my outbound sales efforts stopped. Mm-hmm. I did not speak to any of those people for 18 months. The pandemic hits. Now, I'd used BombBomb, which BombBomb pops up on my laptop and tells me if somebody plays the video. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, we get into April, May time period of the pandemic, and the market is starting to really take off in June. All of a sudden, these little pop-ups start happening where these people were going back 18 months after the fact and looking at where their value was before, which cued me to check in with them. And I listed another $5 million from that 30-minute-a-day activity that I'd done 18 months before without any follow-up after the fact. Now, what we're seeing right now is the exact same thing. Don't overcomplicate this. Get out there, add value without people asking you, especially on the seller side right now. And you're going to have all the listing opportunities you're looking for. Now, be patient with this. This is a law of averages. You may strike lightning in a bottle out of the get-go, but it may take you a few of these. Just be consistent and trust the process, because every single time in every single market, every single agent that has done this, where they've done 70 of these, where they've done it over a 3-month period and they've done one a day that they worked, we are absolutely seeing multiple listings being taken, which is creating momentum and giving them an opportunity, not just to have the momentum there, but a lot of these are sales and buys. So the transaction numbers and the sales volumes just goes to the roof on that.
Amazing. And what's the time involved from step 1, 2, 3 in your process, right?
Literally.
How much time do you spend on that?
It gets easier. You know what I mean? As you do them, it's just like everything else. The first ones, it took me a little longer. I got it down where it was like 15 to 20 minutes.
That's what I thought. 15 minutes.
I'm pulling up the MLS and I'm pulling up the comparable sales. I'm pulling up on Google Earth their information. I'm getting an idea of the value. I'm putting that together, and then I just press record. And also, some of these, if you're in a neighborhood, for instance, and you've got a few people in a tract neighborhood that has similar floor plans, when I had those, like I had some condos. Well, the condos were great because it was the same floor plan. So if I had 4 of those, I could record one of them, say, hey, Randy, want to give you an update on your value. And I'd do that whole deal. Then I would just stop and press record again. And I would say, hey, Shirley, wanted to give you an update on your, so literally I was doing 3 or 4 at a time in an hour, hour and a half.
Wow.
And I was done for the week.
Right.
So this was one of those that it's just like everything else. Systematically, consistently adding value and doing it on a regular basis will absolutely, it's going to yield results. We're seeing it every single market we're doing it in.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It might have come from you, honestly. I've been doing it for a couple of years, but unsolicited CMA is my favorite thing in this market.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for a couple of years. And I love what you're doing. I'm not doing that where you're coming down into from space onto their house. That's awesome. Are you recording it on Zoom?
No, I was using BombBomb, and the reason
okay.
And the reason I was doing that was because BombBomb gave me all the back-end analytics on how many times they played it.
Yeah.
So like the next morning I would come in and I could see whether they played the video. If they didn't, I followed up with a quick text to them and said, hey, I'm not sure if I sent you the right link yesterday, but I spent about a half hour getting you an updated idea on the value of your place. Yeah. Some pretty interesting information. I'm going to resend that video. Let me know if you don't receive it. And then I just saw those numbers. We got to almost 100%. Just that one text.
Love it. Yeah. Open is important. Plus you can see how long they're watching it. There's all kinds of benefits to that.
Yeah.
Zoom now is so commonplace that most agents can jump into Zoom and become really proficient with video. I find for doing like market reports and just sharing the MLS and doing the basic stuff. We use Loom and do all that kind of stuff a lot as well, mostly for training. LOOM is awesome. But I think Zoom has really kind of changed the game, for us and what I coach a lot of fundamentals, right? A lot of blocking and tackling. I'm like, so when we get these teams and stuff, I'm like, all right, we're going to build a football team, right? What's the very first thing we need to do, right? We need to, who's the quarterback? Who's this? Who's that? And so I like football analogies. And then, when we talk about it, it's like, we can't have Tyreek Hill breaking loose for 60 yards if we don't have blocking up front, right? So we got to start with the stuff that's not that fun, and then we could start pushing out something to the flats and start pushing. Then you start throwing the long bombs because the foundational stuff's working, and then those bombs work. And a lot of agents just start throwing bombs right away, and then they're like, "This is tough. This is hard. I called 4 expires. They didn't list with me. I don't understand it." Right?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. So you mentioned AI. I want to talk about AI kind of exclusively, but you mentioned AI at the end of this listing CMA. What was that?
Yeah. So it was not for that unsolicited CMA.
Okay.
But let me just tell you this. What's happened with a lot of us is in the market environment we've been in, even those that were great marketers of properties or listing marketers, we've got a little atrophy. We didn't have to do it. We just put it in the MLS and we get 10 offers. And so consequently, that is something that if you can develop that in a way to be able to show your value to a seller in a listing presentation, it's just a fundamental skill. Now, here's the quick and easy way that you can do this in a way that's completely unique, that is just takes a few seconds and really sets you apart. What we're doing is we're going in and basically we're preparing in advance and utilizing AI to help us do this, to have the listing presentation where it's absolutely on lock. So here's what we do. The first thing we do is we go in with ChatGPT, and if we've got a previous description of the house in MLS or whatever, we're just copying that. We're basically coming in, and all we're saying is please provide me with an SEO optimized MLS description for a home with the following details. Please rewrite this in a well, there's 3 different ones. In a professional tone. That's the first tone. Okay.
Right.
Once it does that, we take that. Of course, we're going to polish this. We're never going to just print something or publish something that it comes in, because we want to make sure it's going to be compliant. We're going to make sure that it has fair housing. It doesn't understand fair housing laws, RESPA, all of the different things, but we're going to make sure it's kind of in our voice, but we're going to use that as an outline. We're going to print that one and we're going to slide that to the side. Now we're going to say, now rewrite this in a more luxury tone. All right, it's going to come back with a luxury tone. We're going to take that one, and you can use whatever tones you like, and put it over there and print and put it in the file with that first one we had that was the professional tone. Next one is going to be in a conversational tone. Now we're going to print that one, and we've got 3 different MLS descriptions that literally in the last 30 seconds we've been talking, we've been able to get. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to basically ask it, right below where it has that, is say, now convert this MLS description to an SEO optimized Instagram post announcing this is a new listing. Now it's going to come up. It's going to print that information. We're going to take that. We're going to print that. It's going to give you emojis. It's going to give you hashtags, the whole deal. And I have to tell you, when we shifted to this, we're going to put, 2 or 3 of the best pictures with that post. When we shifted, instead of just putting the MLS description in Instagram with those 3 pictures, and we shifted just to ask it to give us the SEO optimized all this, and it did hashtags and emojis and stuff that I would never do in a lot of cases because I was just trying to figure it out. We saw 15 to 20% on average now more engagement, and the people that it is getting in front of are better. After we've done that one, we print that Instagram post, we put it in the file folder. Next thing we say is now convert this to an SEO optimized Facebook post that is announcing this as a new listing. Right. Print it, put it over there. Convert this now to a 1,000 word LinkedIn article that is SEO optimized, announcing this as a new listing coming on market. Print that, put it in there. Now give us an SEO optimized YouTube video script announcing this home as a new listing that is currently for sale. Now, what this does is now we've got all of these things. Now we're going to modify some of this stuff. And then what we do is we say, now give me 25 unique ways and creative ways to market this property that most real estate agents would not think of. Now, not that we're going to do all of these, but odds are we're going to get 12 to 15 ideas that we can execute on. And we're going to take that and we're going to put that on a sheet and we're going to put it in that folder. Now, here's how this listing presentation goes. We're sitting at the table or we're doing it online on Zoom with the seller. And we simply say, Mr. Seller, the number one thing that helps us grab people's attention, because all people are doing is they're scrolling, is we're going to get you the professional photography that will capture their attention and make them stop scrolling. Now, the second thing that we're going to do is that if people are out there and they're looking around, the pictures are going to grab their attention. But it's the MLS description of the home that's going to make them decide to see your house instead of seeing any of the other homes that are out there for sale. So what we've done is we've utilized artificial intelligence to be able to give us 3 different types of MLS descriptions. And what I'd love to do is to show you these 3 to see which ones that you like best, because odds are the buyer of this home is going to be somebody just like you. The same way you fell in love with this house, that's the buyer we're looking for that'll fall in love with this house. And I'd like for you to take a look and see which of these styles you like and see if there's anything we missed that ought to be included in this that would be attractive to you when you purchase this house. They say, well, it needs to have this in there and we like this style. Perfect. Now they're buying in. All right, great. I'm going to set that to the side. Now, the other thing is you have to understand that social media changed on Facebook and Instagram just a few, literally in this past year. What they did is it used to be that on Facebook, the people that would see the posts that we would make were the people we were connected with. Now, I call it the TikTok effect. What happened is that TikTok began to say, I don't care who you're connected with. We're just going to take people that are watching this type of video content, and we're going to actually utilize and use search engine to find other videos like that and put that in front of them. That's why TikTok has been going so crazy. That's why it grows so fast. Mm-hmm. So Instagram and also Facebook and LinkedIn decided we're going to become more search based. So this gives us the ability, really, for those that understand it, to be able to put your house in front of the right people as long as we utilize the right language and the right types of posts. So what we've done is we've gone in and we've utilized artificial intelligence, because I'm not a big emoji fan, but this is going to give us emojis and hashtags where we attract the right person. And we're going to post 3 of the best pictures that we get from that professional photography to make them stop. And then we're going to have in there an SEO optimized, search engine optimized, so that the buyers that are looking for places have been looking at places just like yours in our local market. We're going to absolutely feed this up to them. So with that in mind, if I was you, I'd want to know what the marketing might look like. I went ahead and did this. So here is the Instagram post that we would propose that we would utilize to attract someone announcing this as a new listing. Because my job is to get as many people through the door as possible so that you have the opportunity for us to find that ideal buyer that's willing to pay a premium for your place the way that it deserves. Does this make sense to you? Absolutely. Here's the Facebook post. Anything on there that you see that we ought to add or take away? Nope, this looks great. Here's a 1,000 word LinkedIn article that is going to give us the ability to have some optimization out there. And a lot of times what's happening now is that with a place like yours, the people that are on LinkedIn now are the professionals that are going to be the people that have the capability to purchase your home. So we're going to utilize that. Also, YouTube, we're going to have a YouTube video. Here's the script it gave me. It is even, if you'll look at this, it's even telling me where I should be standing in front of the house to shoot this. And this is what we're going to utilize. Does all of this make sense? Absolutely it does. Now, here's the thing. Most realtors are going to do 3 things. We used to call it the 3 Ps back in the day when they take a listing. They're going to put it in MLS, they're going to place a sign, and they're going to pray that the right buyer comes up. Now, let me just say this. We're going to do that, okay? But that's of course, marketing. but what is it that we're going to do different that most agents are going to think about? So what I did is I made a list of 12 to 15 things that we're going to do differently to market your home to make sure that we maximize the opportunities we have to get that ideal buyer in your house. Does all of this make sense? Now, Randy, let me just say this. If you do this, because, I'm from the South. This is the way we say it down in the South. If you do this, it's going to be like Chick-fil-A on Sunday. Closed. It's going to be closed. You're going to get that listing every time. You know what I mean? So that's how we're utilizing AI now to take advantage of this and to present and represent the property in a way that they'd be crazy not to list with you. You're using the best technology to put their place marketing wise, and most people aren't even thinking about this, in a way that's going to help them have the confidence that you can get this place sold for them in the least amount of time, the highest price with the least amount of hassles.
So good. It's unfair advantage. It's creating an unfair advantage amongst agents.
That's what we're looking for, though, right?
That's what we're looking for, is the unfair advantage.
Yeah, and to be perfectly frank, it is an unfair advantage, but it's absolutely what those homeowners deserve. And I think what's happened in the past,
that's a great way to look at it, 100%.
The thing that's happened in the past is that, as you and I talked about it in the past, 2003, it was 2000 me. You know what I mean? I'm going to get mine. That's not, it's tired, it's old. And in reality, when you come from a place of, there's nothing I can do better to serve this client and to absolutely get on the best marketing possible than to utilize this technology to put them in a position to be able to sell their house for the highest price. That's the bottom line. And when you come from that position and you add value in that way, man, you go in there understanding that, listen, they'd be crazy not to list with me. Nobody's going to give them the service I want. Nobody's going to do this for them. Nobody's going to give them the best opportunity to get exactly what they want faster than anybody else. So that's the things that how we're utilizing AI now in a number of different ways. What's fun about this, Randy, we were talking about this. I'm just voracious learner on AI right now, because I think it's going to absolutely. I totally believe it's not going to eliminate the professional agent. Hear me. There will always be a need for a professional, relationship-driven agent. Yeah. But the agents that are focused in and utilize this technology will absolutely outperform the ones that don't. So 100%. Here's what I did, Randy. I went out and found the smartest person I could find. It's this guy by the name of Rajiv Sajja. He's vice president of innovation and internet technology for Fox and Roach, BHHS Fox and Roach out of Pennsylvania. They got about 6,000 agents. And I had talked a little bit and written about this. I talked to him, and he was just like on a whole other level how he was utilizing this stuff. And I said, hey, man, I'd love to get to know more about this. And he said, well, I've been thinking about starting this podcast. And he said, man, would you be interested in doing this with me? I said, listen, I feel like absolutely. Let me just say this. So it's the Real Estate AI Flash podcast, where we do once a week, 10 minutes on the best ideas we found for agents. And it's something that I think is going to be tremendous value. We're literally 5 episodes into this deal. And it's crazy, how it's hitting for agents, because it gives them practical ways that they can utilize it in their business. And so that's what we're really focused on right now.
That's awesome. And what's the name of that podcast again?
It's the Real Estate AI Flash podcast. And the reason for the flash is we want to get them flash ideas. Quick 10-minute deals. Hey, here's the best.
Come on, get out.
Yeah. Listen, we don't want to belabor something. We want to get to the meat of it right out of the gate, so that they've got something they can take and put into practice immediately.
Dude, so good. So good. I knew this would be good, man. I knew this would be good. You've got some amazing things going on. Are you still selling? Are you still?
I refer everything out. I've got a younger agent, which is kind of fun too, to help mentor him along a little bit. This guy was
you have to go away completely from it.
Yeah, no, you can't. And a lot of it, too, is it's fun to be back in the dirt a little bit every so often. You know what I mean? And so it's fun.
I love it. I got back in the dirt just to up my game. I realized I've been out of production for a few years, coached for Tom for 4 full years, Tom Ferry, and then on my own now for 4 or 5 years, and just was a little rusty. And contracts are changing, all these things. So really committing to that component of it. I really like helping other people, though. I like helping other agents get listings they wouldn't have gotten, help them with buyer language conversations. Like some of my favorite stuff right now is objection handling and compartmentalizing for service, not sleeky salesman, right? It's not about lotions and motions and potions. It's about what can we do to really bring absolute integral value to the conversation. And that's what the real estate space needs and desires, right?
Yeah.
So let's go crystal ball. What's 2024 look like in your real estate mind?
Professionals win. Those that are focused on serving clients, those that are learning new things, that are applying new opportunities, like what we just talked about, those that are finding new ways to serve at the highest level possible. It's undefeated. Hard work and service is it's never been beat. So literally, the people that focus in on that are going to win. I don't care what the market does. We can't control that. Is there going to be less or more transactions next year? I don't know, but I do know this: somebody's going to have their best year ever. And so in reality, why not you? Why can't it be you that devotes themselves like never before to becoming the smartest agent you've ever been, serving people at the highest level you've ever served at, remembering where it is you came from and how far you've come, and continue to strive to go to that next level? I think those are the people that absolutely, I think it's the same way every year. You know what I mean? We can't control what's happening around us, but we can absolutely control how we bring and the value we bring to people in the marketplace. And it's undefeated. It'll absolutely win every year, no matter what.
100% again, I agree. And I think there's going to be agents that are able to stand out now that have a better opportunity to stand out now than they did, just because of the market. One of the reports, I don't know if it came out of NAR somewhere, about 49% of all agents did one deal or less.
Crazy, isn't it?
That makes me mad.
It does.
That makes me mad as a professional in this industry. And I think that's a curve that can be completely corrected, not for all, right? There's a group that should really not be in the industry. And I am all about entrepreneurship. That's what this podcast is about. I'm about the American dream. I'm a license gatherer. I have contractor's license and real estate broker license. I'm a big fan of that. I think that the industry is going to shake it up quite a bit. I think 2008-9, we were both I've been in 20 years. We went from 1.5-ish to 1 million agents. I think we could see that again. I think we're holding tight a little bit right now, just for 2023 was kind of this mixed up year. And, it's the end of the year when the dues and all these things come true. I think we'll see some shakeout in the beginning, the first quarter and so on. But again, I think this is professionals are going to win. Professionals are going to dominate. And I think it's good for the business. I think it's good for the industry.
Super healthy.
Right? Super healthy. So lawsuits. Can we, do you want to talk about them? Can you talk about them? What do you want to talk about them?
In reality, I will say this. Again, these are one of those things that we can't really control. But I do know that I can control if I add value to 10 people today. And so what I've tried to tell people is, if I read all the news, if I get bogged down in that, then it's going to keep me from doing what I'm supposed to do, which is help buyers find the right house and help sellers get their house sold for the highest price. So for me, Randy, listen, I'm obviously I got to get on a call about it after we get off here. You know what I mean? And so it's literally like not something that's not in front of me.
No.
But I'm trying to, let the people, because we need people to be focused on that. I let them do that and let me focus on the things that I feel like I'm best at. And for me, it's just given to people, just adding value.
I so love that. I so love that. And I told you, Glenn Sanford, the CEO of EXP, on my call this morning at 9:00 on the team call. And he said the same thing. He said, focus on what you can control. These things are going to do what they're going to do. It's good to get in front of it and good to be proactive and agile in your business. But so many agents are focused on the past and the future, and those are just places of despair. That's just you're going to go to die there in your business if you're focused on those things, right? Yeah. The news is designed to keep us in some state of the past or the future. It's not about the present. And so, morning routines are a huge deal to me. Maybe as we kind of wrap this up, I'd like to ask you, what are your morning routines? This is like a passion for me. What are your morning routines? How do you get that mind right? And what's that look like for you?
Yeah. So I think if you don't win the morning, you can't win the day. And so for me, it always starts the same way. I'm an early riser. There's something psychological for me to be doing work, whether that's in the gym, whether it's writing, whether it is studying, whether it's just being quiet and listening. Just the fact that I'm up when other people aren't, for whatever reason. I think I've still got a little chip on my shoulder, from that background. And it just makes me feel like I have confidence that I'll tell you this story basically, and I'll kind of wrap up with this, because literally that's the way I think of every morning. When I was 22 years old, got out of college, I worked for 1 year before I got into real estate. with Merrill Lynch. I was the youngest broker in the state of Florida for Merrill Lynch. And I had this mentor of mine, and I came in the second day to the office. Let me see if I got these right here. I'll show you this right here. So basically what I did is, well, this is a car key, but I'll just use it as an example. I walked in the office the second day, and he says, "Hey, Jimmy, this is your key to that front door right there to lock this place up or unlock it." He said, "I'm going to just be honest. You're not going to be the smartest one here." And he was right. It's kind of hurtful, but he was right. You know, I'm 22 years old. What do I know about investing? You know what I mean? He said, "But I'll promise you this. If this key right here that I just gave you will turn these locks and be the first one here in the morning, and it will turn these locks and be the last one to leave, and you'll be the hardest working one here, I promise you everything else will take care of itself." And it kind of set the tone where I knew that I wanted to be up early. And by the time I got to the office, I wanted to be so far ahead of everybody else. So for me, like every morning, I've got 2 different accountability calls. You know, I've got my accountability call literally, you know, I've got one that, you know, now we're over 700 days. Gino Blafari and I have talked every day for 700 days straight. It's been an amazing way for us to be able to feed into each other. I've got another CEO that I have as an accountability partner. We've rotated them. Gino has us rotate every month. So I've got an accountability partner right now who's up in New York. I talk to both of them by 8 a.m. each morning before I get into the office. Wow. I've done physical, mental, for me, spiritual preparation for my day. And I've done some type of knowledge, and I've had those conversations before I even get to the office. And then when I get to the office and I turn that lock, even this morning, Randy, now here we are 30 years since that guy told me that. I literally walked in the door and I thought in my head, I may not be the smartest one in this office today, but by gosh, they're not going to outwork me. And if I do that, everything else is going to take care of itself. So for me, I think you got to set the tone in the morning for the rest of your day. Because if you don't control your schedule is going to control you. And so that's how I always start it that way.
Dude, that's amazing. I've never heard that analogy and the key story like that. I had that experience in the beginning of my career just because I was scared, didn't know any better. I wanted to be first in there, and contractors are always up before sunup anyway. But I'll remember that story forever. I'll probably steal that story and weave it into, because morning routines are everything to me. So Jimmy, I know you got to run 2 quick things. Number 1, how do people find you? What's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, a YouTube channel. I mean, you know, if you Google me, you know, I mean, I think if an agent, if you can't Google someone in today's and you haven't built a personal brand, it's time to start working on that. So if you Google me, you'll be able to find that. But YouTube is a great place. I'm really excited. You're the first person I've really talked to about this, but the Real Estate AI Flash podcast is going to be something that's going to be a lot of value to agents. And then of course, you should be able to find me, and listen, I'm here to serve. So if there's something I can do to help anybody, please reach out. I'll be glad to help any way I can possibly.
I love you, brother. And last question, what impact do you want to leave on the world and your legacy as we leave?
Man, I just want every single person I come into contact with every day to feel like they're better for having come into contact with me. Whatever that looks like. You know, I think sometimes we overthink this. I think my job is to encourage people. So to notice the unnoticed sometimes, and to make sure that if there's any way that I have a prompt, I'm going back to my spiritual background. I mean, and literally, I feel there's promptings that happen for me to recognize people, or to encourage people, or to just check on people. And I think if every day I get up and I follow those promptings, man, I'll have the opportunity to make people and do my part and really try to just make a positive impact on as many people as possible.
Dude, you're the best, man. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Have an amazing day, and we'll get this to you when we process it. But thank you for being here. Thanks for contributing.
Thanks, Randy. I appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate it, brother. Have a good day, my friend. See you, bud.
Get ready for change to elevate your future, your thinking, your life. One relationship, one thought, one decision. You're closer than you think you are. Make a decision and decide.